If you're new here, we're Laura and Aaron, and we live in our self-converted wooden camper van, staying as far away from society as we can get, camping out in the middle of nature. This episode is a pretty wild one. We find an unbelievable abandoned overgrown monastery and find a way to sneak in to look inside. We reveal how we shower in the van with our not so glamorous setup and explore all around the ridiculous mountain roads of Catalonia in the north of Spain.
This morning there was a really lovely mist in the air and the mountain behind us was glowing up from the sunrise. I usually get up about an hour before Laura and Luffy, who love a little lie-in. They're just really sleepy beings.
So this morning we're doing a little bucket shower, and we thought we may as well show you how it's all done, how it's all set up, because we always get asked, how do you guys wash? Sometimes we do use campsite showers when they're very cheap, or like other public showers, but sometimes we're just nowhere near one and we get out our shower setup. So we've got this shower hose, which was like 15 quid online. You dunk the sucker end into the water tank, which we've part heated so that it's not going to be ice cold. And then this is obviously your hose, and you've got a little switch here that just plugs into your solar system. And once I press this, voila! Oh, turn off. It's definitely less comfortable and less private than a hot indoor shower, but there is something about showering outside with such crazy views that almost feels a bit luxurious in a weird way. While I was just getting dry, Aaron had a little twiddle on his guitar. He's been writing some new songs.
I see the yellow on the leaves, the very first sign of autumn trees. The mornings feel brisker than they seem. This could be the last blue sky we see. Hey, oh, nature is calling, dancing in the light on the last summer's day. Say, oh, we made a promise to be dancing in the light on the last summer's day.
To be honest with you, we were really hesitant to leave this wild camping spot because it just feels like one of the best spots that we've ever found, with such amazing backdoor views, and it's been really, really quiet and private here as well. And there's that worry of like, what if this is the best place in this region that we're traveling through? Like, what if we don't find anything as good as this? Why would we leave? But we get this feeling quite a lot on the road, and in actuality, 9 times out of 10, the next place that we drive to, the next place that we explore, is usually better than the place that we just left, thinking that we wouldn't find anything as good. So we're trusting that the next place will be really amazing, and we're getting on the road in search of something new. Okay, so we were driving through the mountains and we had to pull over because we've just seen the most amazing thing. We saw this monastery. It's just sort of sat there in the mountains. I mean, there is nothing else here. We've been driving, there's no villages for miles, there's nothing else, and there's this huge boulder and on top is this monastery that was built 400 years ago. Apparently, we just googled it. It's now abandoned. We're thinking that maybe we might even be able to go over and see if we can climb in and have a look around.
I just cooked up a bit of lunch and kept checking over my shoulder because I couldn't quite believe what was behind me on the other side of the hill. And once we finished eating, we shut the doors, locked up the van and headed over to that 400-year-old monastery to see if we could find a way in. There was absolutely nobody about, and when we did get to the monastery there were these railings covering the whole area and signs saying keep out, but we did come across a human-sized hole that someone had obviously made and we decided to go in anyway.
It was like walking around a long-forgotten princess's castle with romantic balconies and overgrown vines that had sort of creeped all over the floors and up the archways, and we couldn't help but wonder what it must have been like 400 years ago. There would have been monks walking around who've retired to the mountains for a peaceful life of meditation, and this would have been way before electricity and modern machinery, and times must have been so much simpler. We had a little wander around the outside of the monastery too, looking out at the mountains and imagining that they would have been looking at the exact same mountains 400 years ago. And it's just crazy to think that they managed to build this on the top of a mountain back then, before the modern machinery. I don't really understand how they managed this, but this room that we found was definitely the best one. It's got these incredible big old windows overlooking the best part of the view perfectly, and we wondered what they might have used it for. Maybe it was a meditation room, or maybe it was a dining hall, but this was definitely the best place to be.
We're just settling down for another cozy night in the van. Where we're parked, we're just absolutely surrounded by mountains. It makes us feel so tiny in the best of ways. So tonight we're just making a little nacho dish for dinner, vegan nachos with some plantain and avocado. And we'll probably just eat that with an audiobook and just have a nice sleep.
Luffy. Hello.
So Luffy woke up really giddy this morning, and as brilliant as this spot is for us, there's nowhere to really go on any walks. Like, there's no hiking trails about. It's just this road with that big monastery on it. So we decided that we wanted to find some woodlands to park up in so that we could let Luffy off and let her have a bit of an exploration. And we headed back down that mountain road that we came up, and it's so beautiful. One of the most beautiful drives we've done in this whole area, to be honest with you, and not a single car in sight. Along the drive, we kept seeing these trees that were covered in this juicy red fruits, so we pulled over to check out what they were, and it turns out they're called strawberry tree fruits, and they're actually edible. So we grabbed ourselves a bowl and got a punnet of the fruit just to stock up on some more antioxidants, because we've not had much fruit in a while, and then we hopped back in the van and carried on our journey towards the woods. Laura's not feeling too well at the moment, and instead of being indoors, she wants to be outside, so I'm setting up a hammock for her so that she can just rest and take it easy while staring at the trees. And in truth, I don't really know what I'm doing in terms of setting up a hammock. Like, I don't know my knots at all, and it may well collapse when she sits on it, but hopefully it won't.
Carefully step, this is their home, and you are a guest. Toes in the grass, gripping with lust, looking around for fairy dust. All those familiar sounds, and those familiar textures and colors, and now your heart is truly bound within the vines of all the poets and lovers. Into the woods, lay on your chest, feeling the pulse of all the insects. Scent of the moss, so damp and so fresh, fixating eyes on the birds in their nests. All those familiar sounds, and those familiar textures and colors, for now your heart is truly bound within the vines of all the poets and lovers. All those familiar sounds, those familiar textures and colors, for now your heart is truly bound within the vines of all the poets and lovers.
resting in the hammock did me a lot of good. I'm feeling much better now. So we've set off on an afternoon walk. We've found some trails and they lead down a very steep gorge, and apparently at the bottom of the gorge there's a kind of sweet turquoise river trickling down into like fairy pools and little waterfalls. So that's what we're trying to find. And we had a little snacky on the way because we found some rosemary, and if you've never tried eating the flowers of a rosemary bush, you have to do it. They're so delicious. They're like the perfect little pack of flavor. So definitely try a little purple rosemary flower the next time you see them. We would have loved to spend way longer down at the water, but we stupidly set off quite late. And by the time we were down there, we started to look at the sky and thought, it's getting pretty late. If we don't set off now, we're going to be stuck at the bottom of a very steep gorge in pitch black with barely any battery on our phones to use as torches to get back up. So Aaron made the call that we needed to head back up to the van, and it was probably a good idea. He is definitely the safer, more sensible one of the two of us, and I'm the sort of reckless, wild one. There's a phrase that says, "You keep me safe, I'll keep you wild," and it's very true for us. If it wasn't for Aaron, we would probably be dead with the stupid ideas of mine so far. And if it wasn't for me, maybe we'd have never done van life in the first place. Anyway, thank you so much for watching another episode of us parking our little cabin on wheels out here on the wild side.